good afternoon. I can't say good morning because it's afternoon. Today is Sunday, May 31st, the last day of the month. Tomorrow, June 1st, you know what that means? We're starting fresh. We're starting fresh. Tomorrow's our day. But we have birthdays today, and in the month of May, the first birthday goes to Carolyn, because today's Carolyn's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carolyn. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. Also, it's Cynthia Square's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Cynthia. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. And it's also Hannah, who is Debbie Clark's granddaughter. Today is Hannah's birthday, so Hannah, of course, gets a song. I sing to her every year. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Hannah. Happy birthday to you. Cha-cha-cha. Okay, what do all three of these birthday girls have in common? They're all loved by someone. And now more than ever, we need to show our love in the world because it's just getting to be a scary place between the coronavirus and now all the unrest around the country. We need to take a step back and just remember how much we're loved and how much we love people. And try to move on from there. Especially since tomorrow we're going to start our new plan of attack for the summer. We're going to get back on track. We're going to start losing some of the weight that we gained over the virus quarantine. And the first person that you have to start with that is yourself. And so that means you have to love yourself more than you love anybody else. You have to love yourself. You have to choose to make the decision that tomorrow you're going to start fresh and you're going to do it for yourself because you love yourself and you want to make sure that you're healthy and that you're doing it for you. You are more likely to succeed if you know you're doing it for yourself. If you're doing it for someone else, it's just not going to work. I did it for many years thinking I was going to please Jim, please my family, please everybody else. I never really taken into consideration my own feelings. And I kind of got resentful. I really did because I'm thinking, oh, I don't know. Do I really want to do this? But now I know I'm doing it for me. I want to stay healthy. I want to be around a long time. I'm learning more about myself and really liking myself, if that makes sense. And I just know that this is really what I want to do. And I want to do it because I love myself. And I know that I'm worth that love. I really am worth that love. And you gain so much by loving. You really do. If you have like hate in your heart, you just have a negative aspect about all points of your life. And there's going to be people in your life that are going to upset you. There's going to be political decisions that you're not going to agree with. There's going to be moral decisions that you don't agree with. It's just part of life. And part of life is accepting things that you can. I like that prayer, Lord, help me to accept things that I cannot change and to change things I can. I know that's not the right way to go to say the prayer, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. I think it's give me the ability, I know you'll correct me in the comments, and I appreciate that, to accept the things I cannot change, to change the things I can change. No, I don't even know. I have a blanket that even tells me what that says. What did I do with that blanket? I have that blanket too. I'm going to get the blanket because I want to know exactly what that is. Just a minute. It was right over there. Anyway, it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And there's a story behind the blanket. Of course, you knew there'd always be a story. There's always a story about something, isn't there? I was working at Montgomery Ward's, and I was loving every minute of it. And my manager gave me this gift as a Christmas present. The store manager actually gave me this gift as a Christmas present. And I had invited him and his family over for dinner just for dinner. It wasn't even for Christmas, it was just for dinner. And he didn't come. And this was just before all this debacle started with what was going to go happen. And so his wife had brought this present, and she had it wrapped, and she said, you know, I want you to open this at Christmas time, but I know I won't see you before then, so I want you to know that my heart was with you when we purchased this present for you. And I said, okay, you know, so I had to keep it wrapped up and under wraps until Christmas came. And this was like just about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, maybe a week before Thanksgiving. Anyway, I had them over for dinner, and at the time, there was talk of my store manager having an affair with one of the managers of another store, like a men's store manager. And I was the manager of the men's department in Mount Clemens. And this particular manager was the manager in Southfield. And she wanted to be closer to her man. And he was married, she was married, but they still were having this secret affair that was not so secret because everybody knew about it. And there was an opening at the store in Harper Woods, which is the Eastland store. And she was going to get transferred there so she could be closer to him because the distance was so far. And there was like talk of what was going to go on in that. And he wanted her close in the store where it was. And so without anybody knowing in the higher ups, the uppity ups knows, they transferred me so that she could have my position in the store in Mount Clemens where I was working. And I did not take it well. I did not take it well at all because I had a very good, prosperous department because you got paid a commission on, you know, like how much you made in your departments, like bonuses and things like that. And I had a very good position. I had a very big department. And usually when you get transferred, especially if it's not a lateral move, it was like a different move. Actually, when I was in the manager of the men's department, the women's department actually makes more money because they have more involved. They have the accessory department and the you know, the lingerie department and the shoe department and the women's department and the juniors and the misses and the full size. They have like a really big thing. So usually that particular department, they make at least $5,000 at the time, makes at least $5,000 more a year. And they transferred me to the Eastland store, which was a smaller men's department. So therefore, I really should have taken a pay cut. So their justification was that they were going to just keep me at the store at my same pay that I was making at the other store. When in theory, since I wasn't transferred to the men's department, I was transferred to the women's department, I should have been making more money. And they didn't do that. And they shouldn't have transferred me. And the upper people didn't know that it was being transferred. And so I was, you know, quite upset with it, but it was still my job, so I still did my work. And I never complained, but my girlfriend, who worked in another Montgomery Wards, let the higher-ups know that I was transferred, and they were very, very upset about it. And the reason that they kind of let it go slip by was because this particular girl that was a woman, whatever, that was having an affair with the store manager had also previously had an affair with the store manager where she was working and had filed a sexual harassment suit against him. And they wanted to move her out quietly to alleviate that problem. And they asked her what she wanted. And she said that she wouldn't file any sexual harassment charges if they put her in the Mount Clemens store. And so while they were talking about that, you know, I don't know how all that worked, but they transferred her into my position and moved me out and put me into the other position because nobody wanted it because it wasn't a very thriving store. You didn't make any money because there wasn't very much commerce going on at that particular store. And so like the thief in the night, they moved me out overnight. Usually it takes like a couple-week process. No, I got to the end of the day at 5 o'clock and they told me at 8 o'clock the next morning to start at the other store. That was my new job. So I was not happy about it. And so my girlfriend had complained, you know, like she got moved, blah, blah, blah. She should have got more money. And so the district manager had come into the store and they had pulled me into the office and had asked me, you know, well, what do you think about this move? And I told him I thought it was pretty crappy. I used very explicit language because I do have the mouth of a sailor. Because they had asked me, and I I said, well, I can tell you exactly how I feel, but you don't want to hear it. And they said, no, say how you feel. And so I told them exactly how I felt, that, you know, I won't tell you how I said it, but you can get the gist of what I said. I said that Stacy was messing around with Gary, got tired of Gary and his, you know, bodily part. And so she decided she wanted to be moved, so she wanted to be moved next to her next target. And so she filed a sexual harassment suit. And so to keep her quiet, they let her have what she wanted. And so she started off with Gary, moved on to Ted, then moved me out. And then of all of this, I was the only one that really got, you know, and didn't get any enjoyment out of it. You could fill in the blanks of what I said. And so then he was kind of like taken aback. And he says, well, I did tell you to be explicit. And I said, well, that's just exactly how I feel. And I says, and on top of that, I didn't get a raise. I should have got a raise. And so he said, well, you know, I will have to look into that. And I go, okay, whatever. So I went back to work. This was like at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I thought he left because the store was, at the time, dangerous. It really was dangerous. And the people that would come in would park their car, like the biggity wigs would come in and park their car and get in and out like within a half an hour. They were like scared to be there because it was, at the time, it wasn't the safest place to be. So they would get in and get out really quick. So I just assumed that he would be in and out like really quick. And so I went about doing my work for the day because it was a grid changes when they change for the seasons, or like bring in new stock and things like that. This was like getting ready for Christmas, and so we were moving all the Christmas stuff in, which was another thing that kind of pissed me off because I had already had my Christmas stuff set up at the other store, and now I come into this store and I got to redo it again to put all the Christmas stuff out for the new plan there. And so I did all my work, and I didn't even go to lunch. I just, you know, because I had a lot to do, so I got it all done. And I was getting ready to leave, and I was in the office, you know, telling the store manager I was getting ready to leave. And the supervisor's name was Greg. And so Greg, I saw him in the office, and I thought, oh my God, I thought you left like hours ago. And he said, no, can you come in? I need to talk to you. And I said, yeah. So we come in and close the door, and we sit down. And he said, you know, you had a very explicit conversation with me. And I said, well, I'm not going to apologize because you didn't. I told you it was going to be explicit beforehand, and I told you if you didn't want to hear it, I wouldn't say it. And he says, no, I appreciated your honesty. He said, but I really wanted to see what type of worker you were, and I really got the impression from you that you were not the least bit happy about being here. And I said, no, I'm not. He says, but I also got the impression from watching you that you really are dedicated to your job. And I go, well, yeah, because I'm getting paid to do a job. I'm going to do the job I'm getting paid for. I think I should have got paid more money, but you know, that's neither here nor there. This is who I am. I'm going to give you my 100% of my work, no matter where I'm working, whether I'm happy or I'm not happy. But just know I'm looking for other work because I'm not going to stay here. And he says, why aren't you going to stay here? Is it because of your safety issues? And I said, no, it's for the mere fact that I was screwed and I should have got more money. I was hoping to get like $1,500, maybe $2,000 more. That was all I was thinking in my head that I was going to ask for. And he says, well, if we were to give you a raise, would you stay? And I said, well, it really would depend on the raise. Like I said, I was thinking $2,000. He said, well, I'm going to tell you, I can't give you more than $5,000. And so I said, well, let me think about it. He says, well, I really need to know before we leave. So I thought, now, mind you, I only wanted 2, so I knew I was going to take the 5, but why wouldn't I take the 5? So I thought, you know, I said, yeah, okay, I'll take the 5. And he said, okay, and I'll retroactive it back for the 2 weeks that you've been here. And so I said, okay, that sounds fair. So he said, well, we'll start that right away. And then, you know, he talked to the store manager. He says, you know, we're going to make sure all of this happens. And so he said, oh, okay, we'll make sure this happens. And so then I left, and I called my friend to tell her. She was like happy that I got it, but she was pissed in the same sense because now I was making $2,000 more than her. She had more seniority than me, and she was in a bigger department. They did it just to keep me quiet, but you know what? I don't care. Money talks, walks. You know, so I kept the job. I stayed there until the store closed. because Montgomery Ward's went out of business, I made a bundle off of that store afterwards, because when the liquidators came in, all the other managers jumped ship to go to other jobs, and they offered me a good percentage to stay. So I got a little bit of a percentage to stay. Plus I got a buyout from Montgomery Ward's for the years that I'd been there. So I got that money. And then I got a percentage of the money that the liquidators made. And I didn't have to work as many hours. I still got paid for working a 50-hour week, because managers always work 50 hours. They got paid for 40, but they worked 50. But I got paid for my 40 or 50-hour week, and I only had to work 15 to 20 hours a week. So what I did when I had all that money afterwards, when it was all said and done, this was back in 95, I think it was, 95 or 96. When all was said and done, when I walked away from Montgomery Ward's, I had like a $25,000 bonus. So I completely remodeled my kitchen. Used all that money to remodel my kitchen. I did some work on the house. We spent all the money on the house. But so in the long run, it was profitable for me that Ted and Stacy got together. But I would have never got that at the other store, because the other store stayed lingering on and on and on. And by the time they went out of completely closed down, those managers didn't make very much money. So Stacy kind of lost out in the long run. And then in the long run, she had to quit because her and Ted broke up, and Montgomery Ward's just wasn't going to deal with her anymore. So anyway, I have more stories about that too, but I can't tell you today because it's just I'm so long-winded. I'll tell you one day later this week. I'll give you another story about my time at Montgomery Ward's when it was closing. But anyway, remember, love yourself. Accept what you can change, and have the courage to know which ones you can't. Tomorrow's the day we're going to start all over again, and I know we're going to do it. I just know we're going to do it. And then my new mask that I wear, I'm going to tell you hello. Let's get started tomorrow, okay? We're going to get started tomorrow. So if you're new to my channel, leave a comment. Tell me if you don't like my babbling. Tell me if you don't like my stories. Let me know what you do to love people, how you love yourself. Hit that like button, share it, and subscribe. Because I know I'm a wackadoodle, but that's who I am. I can't change. Sorry, I probably won't change. I know I should, probably. Everybody should change. I don't know. Stay safe.